What's up, guys? Just a little quick update for the mowers. Um, I got ignition switch for the Murray right here. Got a Sten's. Let's see, that's a 430-674 ignition switch. Kind of has that like pyramid shape to the switch, where the one that I got before did not have that, so that should take care of that. I did take this outside last night, or actually I did it in here. I gave it a little polish. I just used where is it? Yeah, I just used some of this stuff that I had laying around, this McGuire's, with just a little, kind of a disposable pad and microfiber. I just kind of went over the whole thing, and I even took the headlights off and kind of just cleaned them so they look better. Touched up. I did not take the deck off. The deck seems to work just fine. The blades, look like they have, they're not like sharp, but they're okay. I just kind of took some black Rust-Oleum paint and just kind of went around and just touched everything up so it doesn't have any like just bare rust. Put a little tire shine on the tires, clean the, wipe the wheels off. Just little stuff. The seat. So I think it looks presentable now. It's a decent little tractor. So go ahead and swap out that ignition switch, and that one should be ready to go. I think I'm going to list it for $450 on Marketplace and probably let it go for $4. I'm going to try to encourage people to bring me their trade, like their broken one. As far as with the John Deere, I was kind of messing around with the polish on that. I put a piece of painter's tape down the middle and just kind of gave that hood a polish there. And also took the headlight lenses off and washed them out, so they look a lot clearer now. They look oxidized, but it's actually really not. It was just dirty. I got, what do I have? Okay, I brought my feeler gauge home. We're going to check the valve clearance on the Briggs here on this thing. And I kind of was just comparing the two. This Briggs, which is supposed to be a 22 horse engine. And somewhere on here it said, 100 series with engines manufactured exclusively for John Deere. I call horse shit on that. I mean, you come over to the Cub Cadet over here, and I mean, it's the same thing. This one actually shows that it's 724 cc's, where that one, I know that's what size it is because I saw it on tractor data. It's the same exact engine. You just pull the plastic cover off of this one, and you've got the same thing. Just little things where they have the fuel pump is mounted on the right on this one, and on that one you can see it's mounted on the left side. I mean, that's just the way they decided to do it. This one has a separate choke lever, which that one does not have. The Cub Cadet, and I definitely like it better to be separate. That way you can start it up cold at a low RPM, not at full throttle. And they just basically, they have the same carb, but this one has the choke cable come down here, and it mounts right here on this little air intake plenum here, and the rod is right there. Throttle linkage all looks the same as this one. All that's the same, but this one, it has the choke right here. It just, instead of coming up like to this, and see the mounting tabs are not used, it just goes down here, because this one only has the one lever. So basically, you have fast, slow, or slowed up to fast, and to start it, you put it up at choke. So you always have to start it at full throttle, which, I mean, as a mechanic, I'm just like, it's dumb. Like, why would you want to start an engine cold and have it maxed out at high RPM? So, just little minor differences. This one, I mean, this Cub Cadet and that John Deere are really, really similar as far as like, you know, the grade of what it is. They're both, you know, residential, they're not commercial. This one is a 50-inch cut, that's a 48-inch cut, but that one has the much bigger wheels. I think the front wheel on this one is bigger, or maybe the same size as the rear wheel on this. So I just think, and I think that one just sits up a little bit higher too. I just think it overall looks better than this, and I think that's really the only reason that I like it more, is I just like the colors and just the bigger wheels on that. This one has the gas tank right here, and the battery in the back under the seat. It's just completely the opposite on the John Deere. That has the battery right up here, which, you know, is right close to the starter. Makes sense. You have, you know, you run the battery cable really like less than a foot away. This one has the fuel right here. So to me, it makes a little bit more sense. This one has the deck height on the left. I think that one, yeah, that one's that's on the right side. So the little storage cubby is just reversed. The hydrostatic controls are pretty much the same. You have, this is missing the rubber, but that's forward, and then you press this to go in reverse. I'm not even sure what that is. That might be cruise control. You put it down, yeah, that's cruise control. Okay, so I just learned that. This one I do like, is you can have the option of having the headlights on or off. So you would start it all the way over and then let go, and you're just in a regular ignition run position, and then you just turn it here, and that's run with the headlights on. The Cub Cadet is always running with the headlights on, which I just always thought was kind of cheap. They couldn't just put that extra little thing on there. I think they both have adjustable seats where you can just, you know, go forward and back. The 48-inch is a little bit better for if you have to put this in the back of your pickup truck, because it'll fit perfectly in the bed of a normal size truck. I have a 6.5 foot bed, and the space between the fender wells in the truck is 48 inches, because everybody wants to be able to slide a piece of, you know, 4x8 plywood or whatever in the back of their truck. So all you gotta do is just lift this up. I was able to drive this right up in the back of my truck, where with a 50-inch you can't do that because it's just a little bit too wide. So yeah, it's slightly wider. I don't really think you'd notice that when you're mowing, but you can't ever put this in the back of a truck. You'd have to, you know, get a trailer wide enough for it, or you'd have to take the deck off to transport it. So that's one downfall to having the deck that's wider than 48 inches, and I guarantee you that's the reason why they did it that way. You know, the differences between something of either this one or the John Deere, as opposed to this Murray, is this one is much more like, you just have, when you own this thing, it just feels like, you know, I don't want to say it feels like a piece of junk, but it really kind of does. I mean, and even when these things are new, they don't really feel any better. This one, everything is manual. This is to engage the blade, where on both of these, you just have a little switch to turn them on. Same thing with that one. This is a manual trans. So basically you have a clutch pedal over there, and you have your different gears, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and reverse. And when you put these things in gear, especially like 3 or higher, and you let out that clutch, this thing will do a wheelie. And that's just the way all these are. Like, they're really, you know, kind of crude. You just throw them in gear and they just take off, where these are much more smooth to operate. This one, you know, I was kind of noticing last night, I kind of was messing with the steering on the John Deere. I'll show you that in a minute. So, you know, it's pretty normal, I think, to have a little bit of play. I mean, these are just tractors, they're not cars. It's a little bit of play, you know, maybe about 2 inches of play on these two. Over here, this thing, the alignment was way off on this. I was actually using this 2x4 to kind of get the alignment straight. I just kind of had it up against the two tires where I could see what I thought was straight. So you can kind of see the alignment is now right. The steering wheel, I took that off and got that straight. But this one, that seems a little excessive to me. That's like 4 inches, I think, of play. And this tire right here, this wheel, the adjustment was maxed out. I actually ended up just taking the jam nut off of this. You have to unscrew it from the axle here, and they already had it all the way maxed in, but the wheel was still towed out a little bit. So I just took the jam nut off for now and just ran it back on. I figured it's not going to just come apart because it's not going to be able to unscrew. So I'll kind of see how that is. Something under here must have gotten bent at some point, and when I get the thing all the way apart, or start taking it apart to really kind of dive into this thing, I'll see what happened with it. But at least for now, everything is a little more straighter. So the two things I'm going to do with this first is, one is going to be adjust the valves, because this thing, let me just see if I'll leave the choke off so it won't actually start. But see, right now it's actually okay, but it kind of hesitates a little bit to turn. It's a little slow, especially at first, and once it's warmed up, it's even worse. And what I think that is when the valves are too loose on these engines, there's a decompression valve on them that allows it to spin easier when you're trying to start it. When the valves are too loose, that decompression valve isn't activated, so it makes it really hard to spin it over. So I'm going to make sure I can take care of that issue. And I did also confirm the not pulling hills very well. After you kind of use it for a few minutes, I started cutting some grass here. As you can see, I was doing it when it was probably a little bit too wet. It wouldn't actually go up a hill in my backyard. So there is definitely an issue with it. Looking around the line a little bit, I think the issue is that it is low on hydrostatic oil, fluid, whatever. It's pretty easy to pull the whole rear axle out of this thing and just kind of just leave the wheels attached to it and just kind of roll it out from it. So I'm gonna do that, and basically I'm just gonna dump out whatever's in there and just try to flush it out, fill it up with new fluid, clean everything off. What seems like happens with these is they get so much crud built up around the trans and all the fins that are designed to keep it cool, they start to run hot, and then they start to spew fluid out of the vent hole at the top. And what happens when you have oil smeared all over everything is it's going to attract even more dirt. So it's kind of a vicious cycle, and basically it's really common from what I've read. I don't think the trans is to the point where it's junk yet, because it does seem to work fine. It doesn't really make any real noise, even when it's like slipping, if you want to call it that. It's not really making any more noise than the Cub Cadet over here makes, and that works fine. The hydrostatic transmissions do make kind of a whiny noise, like that's just normal. And it does make that, but it's not real loud. So I think it just needs some more fluid. I'm probably gonna just replace the drive belt while I'm under there, and if I can resolve that for just a fluid change and resolve the starting issue with the valve adjustment, then we will basically, I will just replace the seat, take this whole fender off. I'm not going to like completely strip it down to metal, but I'll at least kind of sand where that's rusting there, repaint that, pull the deck off. The deck needs to be probably completely rebuilt. All the bearings, I think, are, well, I'm sure not all the bearings are shot, but enough of them are that it makes a lot of noise when it's running. So we'll just sand that thing down, give that a new coat of paint, replace the bearings in that, and I'm probably gonna replace the starter. I found a starter for like 30 bucks because that sounds really nasty. I mean, you heard that just now turning compared to this one. I mean, that sounds fine. And also hear how fast that one spins compared to this one. This battery is fully charged up on this. I mean, again, these are the exact same engine. They should sound the same. So, big difference in the way this one sounds versus the way that one sounds. So, that's kind of where we're at. I'll show you what I do as far as the valve adjustment, because that's pretty easy. And we'll see if we can at least get that resolved pretty quickly. And then I will probably not go into too much detail with taking the rear diff out of this thing, or the rear trans out of this thing, just because it's not really that difficult, and there's other videos that you can see that on. So just to kind of, you know, speed up the process, you know, I'll show you lots of stuff along the way that I do with this thing, but some of the stuff that's already readily available on the YouTube, I'm probably not going to show in quite as much detail. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Basically going to try to unload the Murray pretty quickly. And then I'll probably use the money I get for that to pay for the parts for this, which from what I gathered, it looks like it's about $350 to $400 of what I would actually need to do all the things to this that I want to do. So not that bad at all. I mean, pay $200 for it, put another $4. Let's just say I put $5 in it. I'll have a completely restored, you know, John Deere tractor for $700 and some sweat equity. You know, and I mean, it's not going to be the most work is going to be, you know, sanding and painting the deck and the fender there. I mean, the rest of it is just bolt-on stuff, really, and just a little bit of servicing. Of course, we're going to, you know, change the oil, change spark plugs, change the air filter, that kind of stuff. So, all right, that's it for now. Peace.